So how you doing, everyone?
What a wild journey it's been.
Just
to be able
all together, like the journey itself, or you're talking about your week?
Oh no, the ongoing journey.
Oh, you just want to jump right into it, eh? The ongoing journey, just pow right into it. Perfect. I love it. No foreplay, just jump right in.
I mean, if you ask me how you are, we're gonna go deep right away.
Great. Nathan, you better be ready for this.
All right, I got some things. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. I'm happy to hear.
That's funny. So go deeper into the journey you're talking about. The journey itself.
Oh, the journey. Oh my goodness. It's been this process of contemplating what is true, whether that's what's in this moment or what's true about myself or what's true about a pattern coming up. And the more I do that, the more there are layers of reality more of those beliefs and assumptions that I had been living reality through that I couldn't see before because they were so deep, they were my reality. But now that I'm starting to see those beliefs and assumptions more clearly, they're popping out.
Interesting. So, Nice. Can you give maybe you don't want to go too deep in it because I don't know how much you want to expose, but do you want to give an example of that, of something that that's come up for you in regards to this reality or this awareness?
Yeah, for example, I started to really become aware of a people-pleasing, self-abandoning pattern. And then all of a sudden, I could see in my actions, in the way that I responded, in the way that I wouldn't take the time to tune into myself before saying yes or saying no, the times where I would put someone external ahead of my own needs.
Oh, I see.
So, and it's becoming familiar with why I'm doing this, right? And looking within and seeing what is the part of me that was seeking love, that was seeking approval, and how do I get to that place where that's no longer necessary? And I could just be at ease in myself and authentic and honest. So learning to communicate at a whole new level.
And how would that affect the people around you?
Well, quite beautifully, actually, because when I am more honest and authentic with them, it encourages them to be more honest and authentic with me. And all of a sudden, it doesn't feel like these two personas interacting as much as it feels like two authentic beings that are relating to each other. There's a realness, there's a depth of connection that happens when you're able to speak that truth, and a sense of liberation when you don't have to pretend to be something that you're not in order to gain that love, that approval.
That makes perfect sense. I think I totally understand that.
I get it. It's like, when you got a wedgie in public and it's just like, oh, let me go to the corner. I'll just be a second. But now, I just pick my wedgie on the spot. I don't even care. I just do it.
You're on the spot, eh? It's like I'm being authentic. I'm being true to myself. And I'm going to deal with this wedgie. Only Nathan.
Kind
of the same. I think you kind of got the right idea, yeah. No, that's interesting though, because why do we put up these? Why do we wear these? Why do we wear these masks? Why do we perform these characters? And I think we do it because it's for our own survival, believing that if we show our true, authentic selves, it won't be accepted by others. But it was never given the chance to be accepted by others, right? Yeah. But we live in a world where we're conditioned to. Well, let me put it this way: have you ever met someone that you were gonna probably date romantically, and the people, like say myself and the person who I want to date, we're both faking it. We're playing edited versions of ourselves, and you start to fall in love with the edited version until you start to see the real individual, and it's a turnoff or a trigger or any of those things because it wasn't presented in the first moments of the interactions. those moments could be very disappointing when you start to find out that the person that you thought you're starting to build an emotional attachment to is not the real person, or not that it's not the real person, but they have other sides that you weren't willing to accept. Right. And I think we have to do that on some level, only because what if you did show your true self from the very beginning? Would you be rejected by anyone? Especially if you have an issue with rejection, would you be rejected by anyone? So we put up these characters because they're like the fishing bait. They're like the fishing hook and the bait to try to attract a mate. But that method never seems to work. Because yeah, you get short term, you get what you want, and then it falls apart when you realize that what you're falling for isn't the person that you thought you knew. So it's very interesting, and it's not just with romantic relationships. That's also with work relationships and friendships and all that stuff. I personally prefer to be authentic from the beginning, but it does disturb some people when I do that. See, Nathan's laughing. Shut up.
No, I totally get it. I totally get it.
You get it, right?
I remember when I first met Morgan, he was so straight up about who he was. It's kind of, he was an asshole, but he was a friendly asshole. And I'm like, all right, I know who he is. He's just a friendly asshole, but he's a good asshole. It's the kind of asshole you need.
So you're straight, right?
Yeah, at least you know who you're dealing with. And now,
you know who you're dealing with, right? Yeah. It hurts for me to fake something in the beginning. Like, it really hurts to fake something in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, I don't try to be an asshole. I'm really just speaking. But here's the thing: I don't offer criticism in most cases. I only give it if you ask for it, right? But I realize that sometimes when people are asking for it, they're asking you to lie. And I'm just not down with that. Like, you know what I mean? So if you ask me for advice or you ask me for whatever, I'm going to give you how I feel about the moment. Like Nathan and I, we know an individual. Her name is Tanisha. And years ago, she was working on, I think she was working on a grant proposal or something, if I remember correctly. So she asked me if I could proofread it. So I proofread it, and I gave all these critiques. And she smiled. She says, "Okay, I'm going to go and make the changes." I didn't know she was upset about it. Yeah, she was totally upset about the whole thing. She made the changes. I read the final draft, and I said, "Yeah, this is better. This is good to go." Years later, she told me she was upset about it.
Years later, she was.
Yeah, years later, she smiled with me throughout that time period. We hung out, interacted, did everything, and then she's like, we got to a good place. She said, "Oh, by the way, remember that time when I brought you that proposal and you gave your feedback, and oh my gosh, I thought you were rude, and and I don't think I was that bad. I just said, no, you should change this, change that. You shouldn't do this. Never." And I know her, we're friends, so I was just telling it to her straight. Didn't know it bothered her. So it's it's interesting. And I guess there is a way to talk to people when you're trying to make a critique, I guess, but I didn't show up to that day of school, so I kind of missed that class. So
no, there's a word that the word should you should always avoid using the word should. You have to, because it just sounds like a demand. That's what I learned.
Oh yeah,
that's one of the things. Should, it's a really bad word when you're trying to critique someone.
See, so now you have all these rules of how to critique someone, and maybe they're necessary for people who, some people are sensitive, and that's not a shot against anyone. Some people are sensitive about things, and rightfully so. But I don't know. I just don't know any other way to communicate with people when it comes to, like, if someone asks me, "How's your day?" I'll tell you straight out how my day is. And they want you to lie about it. Like I don't have bad days, really. Like, I have bad moments, but I don't really have bad days. But I think people want me to get into, I'm trying not to mention names because I don't know who's going to watch, right? So I'm trying to find ways to avoid people. So I have to kind of beat around it, you know what I mean? But I'll try to make it general. It's like when people ask you to, "Hey, how's your day?" And you got to do that small talk thing. I'm really, really bad at small talk. I can't do it. Like, I just find small talk so surface.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just can't. I just like, no, let me just jump into it. And it's like, let me just tell you what's going on in my life today. as opposed to talking about the baseball game and if my kids in little leagues, or I can't have those conversations. I'm not saying they're bad conversations. I'm just not the person to do it. So people learn very quickly that I'm not willing to play that game. And it bothers some people at work. Right? It bothers people at work. And then when it comes to family, there's sometimes the social events that I don't want to attend. I just don't want to. It doesn't do anything for my soul. So I'll say, no, I'm not going to show up to the family event this weekend. And, people get upset and, oh, why is he being antisocial and whatever. There's just certain things that just doesn't feed my soul. And I just can't keep going in there over and over and over again, eating pure social junk food.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like at some point I gotta, there's some things I'll go to because, it's family. I gotta do something with the family, but there's other things where I'm just like, it's just not my thing. I can't keep doing this over and over. I'll do anything once. After that, it's just like, look, I'll pass this time around and wait for the next thing. But it's just so hard to find people who are on, I don't want to make it sound like we're at these different levels and that they're so hard to attain that people can't reach, but it very, very quickly you start to learn how much certain people don't relate to your authentic self, or they're not willing to accept it because for whatever reason. For whatever reason, some people are not willing to accept the authentic self. And I'm not even talking about like going all the way into the ultimate or anything, like just stripping all the layers of all the character traits, the fake character traits that are not really your own, and trying to find ways to communicate with people, connect with people, just to build more bullshit relationships.
Yeah.
Like Nathan and myself, we have an understanding. Well, at least I hope we do.
You froze. I was waiting. I was like, what understanding? What are you talking about?
Well, anyway, I always thought we did, but maybe we don't.
No, we do. I just didn't hear. I was just waiting. We have understanding.
That would be like the perfect segue for us to get into the relationship that Nathalie and I have.
Wait. What was the understanding? Just say what the understanding. You didn't say.
It doesn't matter now. That doesn't matter. This is nothing to Nathalie and Lisa here.
It's gonna mess with my mind for years. What's the understanding? What's in the box? What's in the box?
We're straight up with each other. We're just straight up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We're straight up. And whatever we have that, we don't have to fake anything. I think you always felt that from the beginning. We're good. And when it comes to whatever, if you did come to me with anything and wanted me to give you any whatever feedback on anything, that I'm going to give you the truth.
All right.
Right? I'm not going to fake that or with anybody else. I think you know that.
Sacred asshole. That's what we need.
Sacred asshole. I can live with. That's actually a good name for a podcast.
Nathalie and Lisa, huh?
What?
I'm making up names,
Lisa,
okay?
Huh?
I'm trying to give you a name. Like Nathan,
Only Nathan, Nathan.
Sorry. Yeah, you were about to say about relationships and stuff. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah, I was just gonna feed off of what Morgan was saying about the importance. He was talking about when we get into situations where we can't be our authentic self, and where we're getting tired of being in situations where our soul isn't connected, where we're not able to have that kind of coevolution. So Nathalie and I met over 5 years ago now, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, Jesus.
7 years ago.
In a scenario where, you first meet and you put down your 5 best cards and this is who you are. But it evolved in a really unique way because we just kept coming back to the idea of something is triggered here. Something's not working. Something's not real. And slowly became mirrors for each other where we got to radical truth. And we kept digging. Once we thought we got to radical truth, there's always more. There's always more because it's your truth in the moment that is being exposed. And then through the process of our nonstop communication of different ways we connect, and it's an effort. You have to put in the effort to these relationships. You have to put in the time. So we'd have it started off with multiple conversations until finally she lived close enough to where we get together every Friday night and we have a sleepover. We call it a vortex. And when we sit down, we're on the couch cross-legged and we're like getting into the details of our life, like the details, almost like you're writing in your journal. And as we started to express these raw truths and express how we truly felt about it, having somebody mirror back or merely just hear what you're saying in its authenticity took on a life of its own. We have hit so many opportunities to trigger many different programs. And in the process now we can actually witness them coming up and we're like, you're bringing this up in me. I need to release it. Keep going. Let's keep going in this. Like, tell me more of your truth about that reflection of me, and having to face them, the best ones and the not so good ones. And it's been absolutely transformative.
What's a not so good one?
Not so good one is when you get reflections of yourself where you're either like mine this week was, I felt like I was getting into a place of more boastful, overachieving. I was getting a little bit too kind of big for my bridges. There was things that were happening that I was moving into, great places in my life that I've showed up continuously and made progress, and I was reaping rewards of it. But in that disbelief of not having it, it was more like, oh, I'm so good. Like, look at me. I'm really doing this. Like, I got it, like I'm the man. I'm the woman. Like, I can do it all. And I caught myself in that, in reflecting that back to people, almost like I was better then. But to get that back in such a beautiful open space, as I was expressing myself to Nat, and we reflect back the feelings and emotions of what my words were kind of coming to her as, or being received, that gave me the ability to see the sharpness, to see that space and pull back. I was a little out of balance. So it brought me back to center. It's like, whoa, let's get humble here. Let's slow down. This is a process, and really there shouldn't be that much of a difference. That's why when I go to the gym, I don't count my weights anymore. I don't see what's on there. I want to know how I feel about my workout. So those transitions in and is what we do in everything. So that was my not so good one this week. Having to
this was this week.
Oh yeah, minutes before we got on the phone, I think I unraveled the last piece. We've been working on this for a week.
Oh, for real?
Really good.
Wow, that's amazing.
Going on, and through our conversation. And constant reflection of the truth, radical truth.
Radical truth. And this is not something you can do with any couple.
No.
Oh.
It's not for the faint of heart, because you have to show up and honestly, you're naked. You're naked in a way that you yourself can't look in the mirror sometimes. Like, there's things that you expose that you're like, oh God, in my nightmares, I would ever want to say this out of my mouth. That's the kind of level we've had to get to. And it really does demand an excellent connection to keep showing up. It's a lot of work. It's emotional. You're in the emotional trenches.
Emotional trenches.
Self-responsibility, right? But the outcome, oh my God, when you get to especially just like any journey, right? You already know, you've been there, you know what the success feels like, and you know what that freedom, not success, freedom feels like, because that's where I was this week. Success. It's not success, it's freedom. So as you're getting to those places of freedom, you're consciously having to go through and understand the resistance. And we're getting better with stress and resistance through the techniques that are showing itself to us, and being open to that intuitive hit of, oh, all of a sudden I've got an opportunity to do Qigong. Okay, there must be a reason for this. It's come up everywhere. I need to ground myself and get into a centered space. And then I come back into this energetic exploration with Nathalie, and we have more of what it takes physically to go through the somatic experience of this, because it's way more than just talking. It becomes understanding all the energetic physiological and somatic responses that show up. And then we see in each other, because you build that rapport. The more you show up, you start to build a history with this person, which is really critical to be an open witness and to hold things as a container, because you now know the pieces of their puzzle, right? And you can reflect as a mirror all the pieces of the puzzle without putting the picture together, because that's my perception, and let them just see the pieces they reflected to you and put their puzzle together. And then when you reveal that growth, it's euphoric. We both get to experience. I always joke and say it's like the bee and the flower. Whoever's pollinating and whichever one's blooming, it doesn't matter. It is incredible. Let's do this. Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool. One thing that you mentioned, Lisa, was the, nakedness. I know that when, of course, we all know when it comes to intimacy, nakedness is a huge deal, is a big part of that. But not a lot of people, well, at least on the surface, talk about the other type of nakedness when it comes to becoming vulnerable. People always mention the word vulnerability. You hear that a lot, but I sometimes I don't feel that people really know what it truly feels like to be vulnerable, where you're actually truly naked. Because just like in any relationship, in the beginning, showing your physical nakedness, sometimes that could be a little scary at times, because you don't know how the person's going to judge me, how they're going to view my body, all that stuff. Are they going to be attracted to me in the same way that they're attracted to me with clothes on? But then there's that other thing where it becomes, when you become vulnerable to whether it's exposing your true emotions, exposing, like we were talking about earlier, the authentic self of your, the authentic version of yourself, and seeing if that's could be accepted by the significant other. People talk about it, and you hear it in many different relationship podcasts and TV shows and reading in books and stuff like that. But that feeling of actually trying to become truly vulnerable is something that when it's shared with another person, and that other person really sees you for who you are and being truly vulnerable, that in itself is a deeper form of intimacy that I believe every couple should be able to share. But many times we don't.
Do you know what I think the key to that is, to get to that space of vulnerability each time? It's safety.
Safety.
For me, it was safety. For me, every time I hit that place where I was about to be vulnerable, I couldn't cross that. I just couldn't, and I didn't know why. I wasn't feeling safe. So I had to then take that opportunity to go inward to find out where it was that what story was I telling myself that this vulnerability is going to hurt, that's going to poke at a trigger. And that's it. The person you're working with really has to have a really beautiful quality of making you feel safe. And what I found in our connections, from my experience with Nat anyways, she had the ability to, using all the stories of my life, understand where my pain's coming from, fear of abandonment because I lost my father young, or etc., and work it into that scenario and bring it up in that, so I could feel the emotions of it in the conversation, and also know that she's not judging me, because even when you think you're not being judged, you feel it. And I'd have to get to that place where she's now just reflecting the truth. So it took many times, sometimes the first time the truth, but sometimes the 10th time hearing the truth, that I felt safe. And then I could move into a deeper level of vulnerability and just be okay with where I was each time. Sometimes you are where you are, and sometimes you regress. You go back, we all do. And it's like, oh, I'm having that, there's too many things on my plate. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'll come back, catch back up, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you're flying. So that's a beautiful.
And plus, you get to this place with vulnerability where you realize that the alternative to vulnerability is to live a fake life through a fake identity. And the more you can recognize that happening in your experience, the more you are faced with the choice of, do I take the risk of being vulnerable and being able to live more true to myself, or do I continue these loops and these charades and these falsehoods? And then there's a point where the pain of these falsehoods is so great and it's so obvious that the only alternative is to just open up with the truth of what you're experiencing, what you're feeling. And then it becomes so liberating that that's the only sane choice.
Freedom. Awesome.
Nathan, what do you got to say about all that?
I mean, sometimes fake life is pretty good. It's pretty sweet, just
Elaborate on that. What's
it's so comfortable. Oh, it's just like you're just cozy in that spot, but it's so hard. Yeah, she is right. Trying to tell your authentic self to like a person in a relationship setting. I remember I tried to do that. One girl was like, ugh, and then she walked off in the middle of the day. So it's just like, how do you it was bad.
Sorry, what happened?
All right, so I told her I met a girl in a park, and
You met, that starting to sound creepy. Sorry.
No. We met her. Okay, so we went on a date.
You told me the story.
We're supposed to go on a walk through a park.
Yeah.
Sat down, told her my authentic self. She went, ew. And then she just walked off. And that was the end of it. So it's just like, so I do it every time now. And or sometimes I'll get into a relationship, I'll be vulnerable. And they'll be like, I thought you were confident. What happened to you? And I'll just have all these emotions and stuff. So, it's just like, where's the balance? How much do you keep of the fake self? And how much do you expose your real self? So I sometimes I find it hard to tell people my authentic self to people, and sometimes, it's the fake. You need a combination of both, I guess, but like to truly show your 100% of your authentic self is extremely scary and hurtful at times. So it's like, how much like, do you want to go to the bathroom? Do you want to pee in front of your partner? Like, what do you need some mystery? Just something like, I don't know. You ever pee in front of your partner? You ever took a shit in front of your partner? It takes everything away. Like, I don't know. What do you do? I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I don't know either. But before Lisa jumps in on this one, if you decide to, Lisa, you said something that I was kind of what was it that you said again? Oh gosh, I had it, but you talked so long I totally forgot it. What was it?
Sorry, my bad.
No, it's okay. I'm just like, I had it. I was like, oh, I want to point that out to you. Oh yes, this is what it was. This is actually a question to Lisa and to Nathalie in regards to Nathan's situation. What is the difference between the authentic self and what Nathan's referring to, which he didn't say, but what he's referring to? So what's the difference between the authentic self and the wounded duck? Because there are things that Nathan probably wants to bring up to a potential partner, but he may be so wounded in certain areas that when he exposes that to the partner, the person runs away because it shows like a sign of weakness, not necessarily vulnerability, but a weakness or a flaw that she may not want to indulge in. So I call that the wounded duck. It's still authentic in regards to you're not wearing a mask, you're not disguising, you're not being disguised, you're not disguising with a character or anything like that, but it's something that, it's maybe something that you need to work on, and that's being exposed. Like for, I don't know, it could be insecurity, it could be childhood trauma, it could be certain triggers that when they're brought up, you take a fit. And the person's not hiding behind any kind of character or persona in that moment. They're just being what they are in that moment. But the person says, whoa, red flag, I'm out of here.
I don't know if there's a difference between the two, but what I do feel is that there's different levels that you expose to different people at your comfort level, because there's no way that I could speak and talk into the depths of what Nat and I talk about to like my mom or my, my ex-partner or things of that nature. We're at certain levels, but it is progressing because I'm learning the tools on how we do it, because it does take two to do that. You have to have the openness reciprocated, and it has to go back and forth. Otherwise you will go out of balance completely, where somebody is, shitting for the partner and the other one's like, whoa, we didn't even have a talk about that. Like, thanks, but like I'm out. You know what I mean?
I'm out of here. Yeah, I've been in situations where people reveal certain things too soon. Yeah, I'm just like, ugh. I wasn't. Yeah, I didn't sign up for that. Just way too soon, like, but I feel for them, it's like, I have to let this out. Oh my gosh, Morgan, you make me feel safe and whatever. I just want to let you know that bang. And you're like, whoa. You know what I mean? So like, where's the line? But also when it comes to the authentic self. So are you saying, Lisa, that the authentic self and the wounded duck are the same?
I feel like the same. I feel like you're just at different versions of yourself with different people, different interactions. And I mean, the choice, I believe, of the true authentic self is when you can be that version of yourself in front of all. But I don't know how that could happen with the level of receptivity we have. Like you said, most people will just be like, whoa, that's too much too soon. And it is.
Okay. I feel like there's a difference between expressing from a place of authenticity, even if you're wounded, versus being in a wounded space, but reacting with it. And the other person doesn't know what to do with that. So if you're in a reactive space of woundedness, but you're talking as if you did this to me, you said this, you said, now you're just throwing that reactivity at them. But if you're able to speak about your direct experience of, that's how these words landed for me, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking, then it puts you in a place of power because you're owning what's happening. And then whether the other person receives it or not is not up to you. But at least you spoke the truth of what's happening. Like, oh, I'm having this feeling of fear come up, and I recognize it's coming from this story. So by expressing the woundedness in that kind of authentic way, there's more opportunity for the other person to be receptive about it because they're not being attacked with it.
Interesting. Okay. Nathan?
You froze.
Oh, I froze? I thought you froze.
Freezing. Yeah.
I was going to put the blame on you. I didn't want to accept the fact that I froze. I was like, no. You froze, and this is how you made me feel when you froze. The whole time I was frozen.
You went,
That's what happened. Well, I got to take the shot for that. I am known to have shitty Wi-Fi over here, so that's interesting. So what was I saying? Yeah, that was, if you had any thoughts on that, what you just heard, Nathan.
No.
This is your chance to shine here. So
can you say it again?
Too much for Nathan sometimes. I had to pull him out of it.
See, in my mind, I have brain farts. So like sometimes you'll be talking and there's I can't like it's really hard. Like, so I'm sorry for that. That's one of my flaws that I express to people, and I get judged. But yeah, whatever. I don't.
But she puts that on the first date, apparently. I got brain fogs, I just can't.
You can't remember
information. So girls like, I'm out. I have a PhD. I'm out of here. And that's okay too, right? That's okay.
Can you repeat the gist of it? I'm sorry. It's just
okay.
Go for it. Go for it. The gist of it.
Okay. Put this into words again. Okay. So the wounded part of you is an aspect of your authentic self. And the best, if you're wounded and you're throwing your shadows at the other person, then you're acting from that place of woundedness. But if you're wounded and you're talking about what you're going through in your experience, how you're feeling, what you're thinking, and you're sharing that, then it's authentically sharing the woundedness. So the other person's more likely to hear you out because you're not attacking them with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. What I'm trying to say is that I do show like how do you know that you're not putting on a front? Like maybe they fall for a version of you that's confident, and you're just doing it subconsciously. Like you do, maybe you have a fake version of yourself that you're doing subconsciously. You don't know that you're doing it, and then once maybe people might fall for that, but then you show them a deeper side of yourself, and then they fall for that part. So like, how do you know when you're doing a double life subconsciously and you don't know you're doing it?
Self-awareness comes in. Practicing something that broadens your awareness of self. And there are many practices to that. Some of them you already know, Nathan. I don't even need to go through them. Did I freeze? I think I froze.
Yeah, you froze a couple of times. It's okay.
Yeah. I said something. It's like, this guy's not saying anything. I must have froze. Yeah, what was I just saying? Yeah, I was just saying that there are many practices in regards to broadening your self-awareness, because a lot of that has to do with self-awareness. How aware are you of yourself? most people aren't self-aware to the degree that we're talking about here. They're just at the surface, getting by. They're aware of the things around them, and of course the things that are just right there at the level of consciousness, where they need that to survive. But there's other layers. People who have more interpersonal skills or interpersonal intelligence, they may have a better sense of who they are as being authentic people, because what they do all day is explore themselves and try to get deeper layers of themselves because they find that intriguing. Where other people, they may find distractions to avoid those things about themselves, so they never ever get to go deeper than they actually can, until they're in a situation where something gets exposed, where something happens and they don't know why it happened, because they don't have the self-awareness to realize that the reason why that took place is because of an internal trigger or something that caused the situation, so to speak.
Beautifully said.
Self-awareness is key.
Beautifully said. That's, yeah. I like that.
Right, but now, how do you get to deeper levels of self-awareness?
Yeah.
How do you
distractions?
Say it again.
And minimize those distractions.
Yes.
Times you can fall into them.
Yeah.
You get a little tired, or you get to a good distraction where it's like, oh yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
Right? It takes discipline.
It takes discipline. But that's the thing about the distractions, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing about the distractions, because some distractions are socially accepted. So you don't see them as distractions.
Nathalie's been working a lot with different programs that kind of take all the open loops that we have and helps us systematically put it in somewhere so we can remind ourselves of it, but it's not a to-do list. You know what I mean? It's a secondary. Like, let's get it all, let's organize it, and then we'll focus on just what we need to know now, but also know that everything else is compartmentalized for you later, so you can let go of it and have the energy required to work. And she's been bringing that into my experience for about 3 years now. It is a game changer for me at work, but also my social life. And she uses OneNote, and oddly enough, it's called Todoist. But it is not a to-do list. No. There's a difference between getting that self-responsibility, how you break it out, which you can explain.
Oh, it's
a game changer.
It's basically a container for your life. And it's structured in such a way that it takes everything that's in your mind, takes it out of your mind, so you don't waste mental energy remembering it, processing it, figuring it out. So you put it in that container, but the way you put it in allows you to build on it. So it becomes a creative container. So you use Todoist to understand where you are and what the next actions are towards whatever it is that you wish to bring into manifestation. And OneNote is that deeper place that holds all the notes, all the documents, all the ideas. And when the two work together, it's like you're bringing a created version of your life into being. You have that clarity necessary to take purposeful action.
Interesting.
I got a question for you, Morgan.
Okay.
So you said that you don't like doing long-term writing.
Hate it.
How did you discipline yourself to actually get that done if you don't enjoy it?
I don't even know. It was just that burst of energy where I was just like, I got to get this done. And if I say to enough people I have to get it done, or I'm working on it, I have to get it done. It was actually pretty easy, but I'm not usually like that, where something like that would be easy. It was actually pretty easy. I just had to put that focus in, because, as I told you, I wrote the rough draft in 3 days. So after I did that, I was like, I think I can do this. So after that, it was the other drafts that got harder. But the first draft is easy, because you can talk a lot of bullshit in the first draft. After that, you try to edit and you're like, oh my God, what the hell did I write here? And you're doing all that where it gets harder. So I sat there for days. I even took my stuff to work. So I don't know if you know this, Lisa, but I work with youth. I work with a lot of kids, and I work with kids with disabilities and everything. But I'm there with my computer, watching the kids from a distance and working on the book. Like, hey, stop it over there. Stop. I said stop. Stop. I said stop. As I'm typing. Yeah, I did that all week. Just kept going. So I got to get this done. I got to get this done. Because if I lose the because I've written other books that are sitting in my desktop that I got to go through again and may have to get them edited at some point and put them out. I've written like a few other books. But once I get to the first draft, I'm beat. I can't even look at it anymore. So I'm just like, oh gosh, I have all this stuff sitting in my computer, but I don't have the desire to even go back to them and fix them or to come up with a better draft, because I get so burnt out after doing it, like mentally drained. But this time around, I just like I just had the energy, so I just kept going at it until it was. And then on the weekend, just before sending the work to you, Nathalie, I may have sent it to you like at midnight, because the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I was at it.
Yeah.
I was at it, like I was really going at it, and this okay, let me get this thing done. But yeah, I don't know if that will happen a second time, but we'll see. Definitely not that quickly. But again, that was the easier book to do than what I want to do. Like the next book that I want to work on. Actually, I'm working on two of them at the same time just to see how far I can get with it before I burn out. But one of them has to do with I call it right now it's called the four facets of God. So it's broken down to the sage, the seer, the siddha, and the saint. And I'm just looking at them as archetypes of what people see as an enlightened being. But of course, not all enlightened beings have those four archetypes. So I want to break down the different archetypes of the seer, the attributes of a seer, the attributes of a sage, the attributes of a siddha, and the attributes of a saint, to break those things down and to explain what they mean. How does that relate to a person who's spiritually awakened or enlightened, and people's perceptions of these people based on those four attributes, or if they're lacking in any one of those, or because you have to be in that stage, you have to have at least one of them. But I wanted to do, if I can put together a book based on that type of stuff. And then the other one I'm trying to work on has to do with how would a spiritually awakened person, how do based on the multiple intelligence, do spiritually awakened people interpret the experience differently based on their level of intelligence, based on musical intelligence, logical intelligence, spatial intelligence, musical intelligence, interpersonal, intrapersonal, natural, spiritual, and all that, and to break them down to see if there's a difference between these types of individuals. Because I think in most cases, people recognize a spiritually awakened person if they're highly intelligent in interpersonal intelligence or emotional intelligence. Some of the other ones, they get ignored because the person who's looking or witnessing the person who's claiming to be awakened, they don't recognize certain things within that person because it's not part of it's not one of the archetypes. So I wanted to see if I can break down that there are spiritual awakened people in these different levels of intelligence, and how they express themselves and how they interpret this awareness through that through their center of gravity in regards to any of those multiple intelligences.
Get burnt out.
Well, it just burns you right out, right? Yeah. So just to see where I can go with that. Harder to write, but if I can get that out, it would be super.
Did you write them, or did you get a ghostwriter?
Nope, no ghostwriter, buddy.
Sorry, I'm just playing around.
And even if I did, every time I look at a ghostwriter and I say, "Can you write me something?" and they write it, and I'm like, it's not in my voice, so I'd have to change it anyway.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, there's a big difference in regards to how a person writes something. Like there's some books out there where you read them. Like there's a lot of books about Osho. I started to get the feeling that all of these books are written by Osho, because when you read them, you're like, Osho didn't write this. Yeah, Osho. Sounds like a person inspired by Osho. I don't think Osho wrote this, because Osho has a unique way of how he speaks, and I know there's people who can mimic him, but they still slap the Osho name on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but I find that interesting. And there's a lot of Buddha quotes that Buddha never said, and there's tons and tons of these quotes, and you see them on social media, and you like them, and you're like, yeah, because Buddha said it. I'm like, Buddha did not say that. Right? Buddha has a lot of ghostwriters.
I thought when you have a bad experience, any type of experience on psychedelics, it's what you need at the time, right? That's what my interpretation is.
It can be a bad thing, but it depends on what we're talking about here.
I don't know. I feel like I derailed this conversation on my stupid class, but it's just like I just felt like she had all these answers to shit she didn't know about. I'm like, you could have caught this. I could have taught the class. Like that's how. It's just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? All right, sorry.
No, back to the book. You said something interesting there, because in terms of mental, what'd she say? Mental illness?
Yeah, you know how you're having if you're having a bad experience, it could be mental illness popping up, dormant. Yeah, they said the word dormant illness. That the psychedelics bring out of you, something like that.
Well,
so.
it is bringing up repressed unconscious information. Some of those things can be linked to what you may call mental illness. We all have it in us, and that can come up to the surface depending on the type of psychedelic you're taking. We all have it in us. It's probably just more how you interpret that information that comes up, right? Some of that information is what people consider dark night of the soul, but I don't think there's much difference between the dark night of the soul and all the other stuff like depression and all that stuff that could come up. They're very, very interconnected, right? For those who have taken them. When I took them, a lot of stuff that never came up to the surface in regards to mental illness, I felt them inside. Like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, deep levels of depression, all this stuff I felt inside of myself. It's just now, can you look at
freezing.
It? Oh gosh, for real? I wanted to use this information too. That sucks. You have to cut around it. That sucks. But yeah, I can go on for days in regards to the repressed information that lies beneath. Everyone has it. Everyone has it to different degrees. And everyone's different because we were dominant in something. So, and something will come up and will continue to come up as you keep exploring until you make peace with it. Because I think that's what it is. It's not about you having these quote unquote disguised disorders. I think it's how you deal with them, how you learn to accept them. Once you learn to accept them, they don't come back to haunt you. So my thing is the saying that I have is stare at your demons until they become divine. Right? When things come up that are disturbing to us and others, it's because they haven't turned divine. They're just our demons that are running loose, right? But we all have them, and there's not much difference between a demon and an angel.
I'm gonna ask you if you had, because I'm trying to get a couple books for the class. I was hoping that you maybe have them. Something about Buddha, what the Buddha thinks, or something. What the fuck's it called again?
Are you hoping that I have the books?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just go to your library.
I'm a cheap man.
On Buddha.
I'm a cheap man. This is my authentic self. I'm a cheap man. So
the Wikipedia, bro. That's all there.
Oh yeah, true. I forgot about that.
You always do that. You always do that. You know this, right? I'm like, the information you're asking me is Wikipedia that. Yeah. Yeah, but I like to hear it from you, is what you always say. It's a head swell, but it's like, no, but buddy, just look it up.
Yeah, sometimes you have you set on a certain way, and then you ask someone else, and then you're like, oh, why don't you just do this? Like, oh, okay, yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah, sometimes I get tunnel vision, and I can't see outside of that. So yeah, that's why I ask.
It's such a great tool. Not every information you find on Wikipedia is true, but it's a great tool to use. We have more access to information than we ever did
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in my day when I was younger, I had to go to the library to find all my information. I still like to go to the library because I just like the feeling of that environment. But you can just go online and find anything you want. There's so many books on there, and ebooks and books that you can order online. Take advantage of it. All my books that I have sitting here is all books that I ordered online. A few of them I bought them from an actual bookstore, like alternative bookstore, which is one of the good ones downtown.
Mm-hmm.
All the other ones I ordered online. You know that. You know, but I don't have any books on Buddha. His story is an interesting story, but I just never bought any books on it. But his story is an extraordinary one. But a lot of things about Buddha you can still question. Like, for example, people never like bring up that he did leave his wife and kids to go on this search. Like, if I did that, I'd be considered a monster, right? But he did do that.
He just like got some milk. He's like, all right, I'm gonna get some milk.
He never came back.
Just never. We get some milk, guys.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back in an hour.
For some cereal.
All right.
2 scoops of raisins. Okay, just 2 scoops. Right back. All right. I close the door now.
Close the door. Never seen this guy again. All right. There's a lot to say about that, but you know, because the thing is, we have the ending result, so it doesn't look so bad. But when you don't know someone's future and what that person is going to become, and you know, and leaves his family, I don't think anyone would ever think that person is a good person for doing something like that. But that's what he did.
See, that's the thing, the authentic self and the fake. Like, what do you do? Do you visit your family on the weekends? Like, what do you do? You know, that's how do you keep that balance? You know, that's the thing I'm talking about. Like a long time, I haven't been in that. So yeah, that's yeah.
What's your longest relationship?
Oh, like I don't know, 8 months. That's about it.
8-month relationship.
Yeah, it's the longest.
Is that the one you always talk about?
No.
Seriously? Oh, yeah. Okay. Interesting. You've been in an 8-month relationship.
More like 6.
Or more like 4.
More like 6.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I was going to say one last thing, but I don't remember what it was, so it doesn't matter. It may just pop up, if anything. But if not, it's okay. There's always next time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this has been very cool, though. Any last thoughts about anything? This includes myself. I'm trying to think if there's any last thing I would like to say.
Oh, I learned in my Buddha class about the 3 animals of suffering, 3 pillars of suffering.
Oh yeah, okay.
All right.
The 3 pillars of suffering.
Yeah, she talked about it, and I'm just like, all right, you can't leave me in this depressing state because I need something. You know, I need something uplifting. So I'm like, is there like an opposite animal to these 3 animals? Because she mentioned like I think the pig, the snake, and I think the tiger. And then she mentioned the peacock. She mentioned the peacock. About peacocks, they take all the suffering and then they eat it, and then it makes the feathers grow brighter. So that's the inside. We had an inside joke about me being a peacock, and
oh, interesting.
Yeah. So
what do they eat? I heard they eat like sharp stuff.
Yeah, they eat anything miserable. They eat anything like more like from a spiritual. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but they eat everything. They eat negative energy.
I was just saying, yeah, you can use it as a metaphor for spiritual growth.
Yeah.
So you can become the best peacock because what you're doing at the end of the day is it's displaying what you are. Like you can say that the halo that's around that spiritual being could represent the feathers of the peacock. That's one way to look at it. The expression.
It's kind of funny. It just made me laugh. Just all animals, he chose a peacock.
No, but that's the perfect animal, though, in regards to that. It makes perfect sense.
Huh.
Yeah, what was so funny about it to you? Like, it's
because we went because we did like a month-long thing about me being a peacock and letting me fly, even though they don't fly. Anyways, it's just,
Yeah, I was supposed to mention that they don't fly.
Yeah.
As far as I know. Well, that's probably a good thing.
So stupid. Oh, it's so dumb.
That's probably a good thing, because my thing is, you know, people always like wonder about you. Like, I'm not saying people in our circle, but sometimes like people like, you know, it's like, what's going on with that Nathan guy? Like, this guy has no chance, no hope for anything yet. I said, no. If Nathan pops, I think he will totally blow anyone away in regards to his personal awareness. He just haven't gotten to that yet. But why should you? It doesn't have to happen now, right? But there's something about you.
That's the good part. It froze.
Oh, man, it sucks. You know, all that good things I was about to say about you, I can't put it on now. Oh, that sucks. Too bad.
The great mystery, the unknown.
Yeah, no,
suffering.
No one will ever get to hear it. That's what I'm looking for. Right? So yeah, I may not be able to use it, but there's something about you that when you do break, there's something about you that's really going to glow that people are not expecting that from you. There's something about you, and I just say continue to explore it, right? Because you are that peacock, like any one of us, and you just have to explore that thing to find out what that is. Because right now you act in a certain way where it's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Next thing you know, 12 years from now, you know, you'll be teaching us.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. Yeah.
Right? So you just don't see it yet because it's like not in your, it's not in your corner right now. But you don't see it yet. But I see it. I think other people see it too. But if they see you at face value, they don't think any of that is possible. They see you, it's like, Nathan, there's no way that guy's. I said, no. Nathan will surprise you one day.
That's the part. See, that's the thing. Like, that's how do you like, you know, like that. Anyways,
continue to go deep inside. And continue to go deep within, and explore every aspect of yourself. But not only explore them, but accept them. Most people are not in a place of acceptance. So anything that pops up, they're scared and they keep pushing it back down. I'm saying, I'm going to use that line that the late Bill Harris said, whatever happens, let it be okay. Let it come out, let it do its thing. And your job is to watch it and learn to accept it. Learn to watch it without bias, learn to accept it, and realize that these are the aspects of who you are as a human being, as an emotional being, as a mental being, as a spiritual being, and as spirit itself. But to do that, you have to accept what's coming up. Let the ego step out of the way and accept what's coming up. Your suffering comes from resisting what's coming up, right? You don't want to resist. Allow it to come up and see for what it actually is. You realize that at some point it is an actual garden. And once you do that, I'm telling you, bro, you got something.
Your face, you say that, but your face doesn't.
What do you want me to do? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, kiss your balls as I say it? Like, no, I'm like.
Nah,
as long as you get the words, right? I don't have to show emotions. I don't want to have to cry about it. Just take it as it is and explore it. I know what I'm talking about, but you know, I'm not gonna like show like, I'm just not that kind of a person. All right, but you know, if I'm saying it, I'm being sincere. He doesn't buy it. Nathan never does. All right, but that's how you are. That's what you are. But I'm telling you, there's something about you. But I don't know how. What do you want me to do? You want me to do like? There's something about you, Nathan.
Just a little fakeness.
I'm not doing that.
I need the fake. I need such a little something. A little dress up. Fuck. It's fucking put some sprinkles on it. Shit.
Put some sprinkles on it. Decorate it. Yeah, you want the decorations and stuff. I'm not willing to give you all that. You got to find that on your own. All right, but I'm telling you, you got it. You got it.
So like, what if God came down right now and it was like, he told you the meaning of life, but he said it so he didn't say with like any just with like no enthusiasm, no nothing, just like, all right, this is meaning of life. And you just left it at that. He's your God. You can put it in any form. Just fucking, you can do anything you want. Just make it the greatest commercial, greatest saying or whatever.
I get that. I get that. But am I here to entertain you?
A little bit.
Everybody wants the flashing lights and stuff. You know, no, I'm telling you what I feel, right? This is what you are. Figure it out. But I'm not going to decorate. I'm not going to give you any sprinkles. I'm not going to put on any Christmas lights. Yeah, I'm saying you got the potential. Explore it. You got it in you. I know you got it in you. But I'm not gonna decorate it for you. I'm done with all that. You got it. Like,
I'm just saying to be nice. To be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice, but I'm not giving it to you. That's all Nathan wants. All you guys just want entertainment from me. I was like, I'm not here to entertain you guys. I'm just here to tell you the truth.
You have an award for entertainment.
Yeah.
You show it to me all the time.
You'll find it. Yeah, but you got to put in the practice though. Like a lot of people like to dismiss practice, but you have to put in the practice. I'm not saying you don't, but there's deeper levels that you can go to once you're ready. If you're not ready, you're not ready. There's no need for anyone to force you to do that, but you really have to go in and explore who you are or what you think you are. Because what I'm saying, what you think you are is not what you are. It's you've transcended all that, but everything that you think you are is included in what you is included within your transcendence. Right? So you have to find that. I can't give that to you. There's gurus who can. There's gurus who can touch you and can make you have a non-dual suchness experience where you can see all that. But I don't have that ability. At least not yet. I'm still open to the idea.